Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Thomas Podcast here today. Today, I'm joined with Rees Marshall. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, Alex Kingdom. I'm great.
So
Hope
you,
you're
so you
well.
say, I know on the internet that obviously you go by girlfriend for 97, but I'm not calling you girlfriend. I can't do it. I can't do
My
it.
legal name.
You're just kind of.
Yeah.
Well, when you change girlfriend for 97 by default to your name, then I shall start calling you that.
Fair
But
enough.
no, welcome. I was looking back. This is your first appearance, and so just you and me since Avengers: Age of Ultron in February last year.
Wow.
Every other every other podcast you've made or been on, it's always been with somebody else. So
Yeah, I was thinking about this afternoon actually, that Age of Ultron one. I was thinking surely, but yeah, you said you've obviously done one since, but not like one to one. So this is cool.
this
Cool.
obviously we have seen Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness stuff.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We're going to be doing no spoilers and spoilers. But first of all, obviously this week we had the finale of Moon Knight.
Mm.
And overall, obviously, we're not talking about the show on the podcast whatsoever because podcasts have been mental and there's been bigger ones to film, and unfortunately, it's just quite a terrible time. But what did you make of Moon Knight as a whole? Do you think it stuck the landing, or
I
what were
think
your thoughts?
the finale definitely did. There were moments where it became a bit kind of like CGI fest, which like the WandaVision finale kind of went into. But having said that, there were great twists, great revelations, and I think it sets up hopefully a series two or whatever they do really well. But it was a satisfying conclusion, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think the issue with these Disney Plus shows I find with the finales is they have so much to do, and
Mm.
then there's like 40 minutes, and I look back on some of the episodes of the show, and I'm like, well, nothing happened in that episode. You just sort of,
Yeah, they
you
don't really
know,
use their time effectively because, like you said,
no.
they kind of leave it all to the last minute. It's like, how are they going to wrap this all up? And they kind of like, well, we've got a challenge on our hands. Let's try.
Exactly, and I think overall it did stick the landing. It was a fun episode, but it's no complaints in terms of the enjoyment aspect. But it was a bit, all right, no, we got to go here and here and here and here. We got to do this now, and we got to get. And you're like, but how we doing that? Like how does it take Mark? How can he just walk out of the field of reeds and he's suddenly back on the desert? It's that sort of stuff that I go, okay, we spent an entire episode getting there, but now we can just revert that back within 2 minutes. But that's obviously nitpicking. It's fine.
I'll go the
But
flow,
yeah,
yeah.
I thought Harrow was a really effective villain, actually. I did enjoy him in like the first couple episodes. I was like, who is this weirdo? But actually, overall, really effective villain. Probably the best of the Disney Plus villains, I think. You know,
Um,
maybe
I was kind
Agatha.
of
Maybe Agatha, actually, looking back on it.
yeah, I was kind of the opposite really. I was intrigued at the start, but the more he went on, I didn't. I like the stuff they did with him in the hospital. I
Yeah.
like that kind of addition, but him as a person, I just been like, yeah, but no, yeah, very good. Yeah, up there with Agatha, definitely Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah, I think overall, though, it was a bit. I think this one could have done with an episode 7. We've seen things like WandaVision get 9 and others. I think if this one had another episode, just kind of get everything in place for one big finale,
Or
or
like you
even
said,
just
utilize the time better in other episodes. But
yeah, it just because like you watch episode 2 or 3, and obviously they're waiting, not much happens in those. You sort of get into point A to point B, and it just kind of feels like at the end of the day, for me, the best episode was actually episode 5, where we were like going through Stephen slash Mark's
yeah,
backstory. That was a really good episode. Some of the best of the MCU ever, I think. Oscar Isaac's performance in that was sublime, and there was a lot of heavy stuff in there, obviously with the
definitely should
domestic
win an award
violence.
for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think overall in the series, I was the same. Moon Knight has been one of those MCU shows that has been legitimately quite funny. That I think like there are saying like sometimes the MCU can make jokes and I go, oh, really? But I just think
Uh,
Oscar Isaac's really good. I understand that like obviously Stephen Grant is like a typical English, you're right, mate. But that's kind of the point. He's not actually English, right? I think that's kind of what he's going for. He's kind of going for that hyper realistic stuff. I think Conchu, the banter with Conchu's been really fun. I think overall it's just been a really fun series to watch. I think like obviously there's quite a lot of dark moments, but the comedy actually lands when it hits.
yeah. Well, I guess because, like you said, the Steve Grant thing, because obviously the revelation that obviously he's done this off the British character, the Indiana Jones style character from the TV. I guess is like kind of the traits. It's kind of just could be from that, I guess, which is quite cool. But yeah, no, the comedy. Unlike, I don't think Doctor Strange. Well, we'll talk about Doctor Strange in a minute, but like some of the comedy in that was a bit like, but this gets it right. I think this gets it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm going to quickly talk about some spoilers for Moon Knight. Obviously, I also have to say I really enjoyed sort of the end, how they actually wrapped it up. I thought it was really cool that you do see 5 minutes or so. I didn't mind like the CGI fest battle between the two gods because I was like, okay, this is kind of badass. I did like the fact though as well that you had some street level stuff, but I did like the fact we didn't actually see how Harrow got beat up. I thought it was actually really nice. I didn't think it was a cop out at all that they used the Jake Lockley thing and then like, whoa. I thought that was really smart actually, and it kind of leaves up to the imagination of what the actual hell happened.
It's one of those things like with old horror films, mainly because of budget as well, but there was a lot left up to like the imagination. And nowadays, with most stuff, you see everything. Like you see people being bashed their heads into the and like you said, yeah, I thought that was a thing because then you think, bloody, how brutal was it? And obviously, it is a PG-13 Disney Plus show, so you can't go like full 18. But yeah, I did hear that criticism, but I have to disagree with that. I think it's better.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the first time they did it, then I would have been like, come on. But the fact they built it up at the beginning of the show, and it's obviously it seems to be related to how much the different personalities trust each other to what they'll allow each other to see and what they remember. Obviously, as Stephen and Mark became closer, they started to just remember each other and bounce off each other, and they kind of know what was going on, you know. But then it makes you question as well in episode 1 where they're all bloody in that town centre. Was that Jake or was that Mark? You know, now we kind of need to go. How much of the show that we thought it was Mark Spector all along?
Yeah, because at the time you think it's Mark, but then I think it's episode 3. There's that rooftop scene as well where he blacks out. Like that wasn't me. Was that you? And then one was like, no. So very clever.
I think it's very clever. I also have to say as well, the actual CGI on the show was incredible. Like all of the deities and all the gods, they looked great.
Gods are amazing, yeah.
You know, and like the transformations. Except some of the best comedy bits were when I can't remember her name. The hippo gods lady was taking control of the dead army people. I thought it was hilarious. Also, like those actors sort of overplay it a bit, which is always nice.
It was good. She I can't, what's the ex-girlfriend's name?
Layla, isn't it?
Layla. Yeah, because she got to be able to do what Oscar Isaac's been able to do. Like she was like doing her, and then the impression of the hippo, and she kept like that was quite. Yeah. So that was quite. She got a moment to shine. But her transformation, that thing was amazing. The wings and the
Scarlet Scarab, really, really cool. And I think overall the show, hits a landing. My favorite part of the entire finale was just that fight scene with Harrow and how you had it started with Mark, and then it would change to Stephen quickly, and then Stephen would throw like a baton or something, and Mark would catch it. Little things like that. I was like, yes, this is sick. I like the fact you kept switching between the suits as well. I thought it was really cool. I really actually like the look of the Moon Knight suit as well. Actually, I think it's one of those things where you're like, how are they going to grasp this? But actually, I think it's really good, and I do want to see more of Oscar Isaac. Like I've left the show going, I want more of this. Hopefully, it does get a series too. It's implied by a change of a tweet from Marvel. It said the original tweet was they deleted it. It said series finale, and then they changed the tweet to season finale, which makes you believe that perhaps it's not the end.
Maybe they're seeing how it's done, like ratings wise, but
it's not going to do as well because it's an older show. It's not PG. Well, it's not for kids over here in the UK. We've given it a 16.
Oh wow!
So it's 16 plus. Yeah. It's 16 plus. So I don't know how much I'd look at the ratings for that, but I think overall it's done well. I think people have been talking about it, and
I think it's been left wanting more, isn't it? After the post-credit scene as well, that was great.
Obviously, with the introduction of Jake Lockley, it is Jake Lockley, isn't it? That's his name.
Yeah.
I'm not getting, and suited up Khonshu as well. And Harrow's dead. But to be fair, I'm fine with. He's not really a villain. I was like, oh man, I want more Harrow. I think his story's sort of done. But it's and again, I just like how it came full circle with us starting in the bed and Stephen walking out to now Mark and Stephen go, well, why are we still being tied up? Obviously, because Jake is still being controlled by Khonshu, it seems. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out in the seasons to come, whether it will be a new season or whether he'll just appear in something.
Because I don't know how they'll be able to if you don't get another series and it's like I don't know how they explain that going forward. Like, they just sell it off. it happened off screen. We wanted to off screen, but hopefully get season 2. We got hope and pray.
Well, I reckon even if he does show up again, like it could be an interesting sort of Avengers, or not Avengers story, but a story for a superhero who thinks he's teaming up with a hero, but then because of the multiple personalities, Jake turns and starts fighting it. Like you could do so many good things with that, and I think overall Oscar Isaac's so brilliant that
that's the thing as well. Like with this, I think I was reading one of the interview direction. I think he said there's meant to be more like MCU ties, but they cut a load, and it does make his own kind of standing thing. But now they've kind of set up. Now you're excited to see him go into like other MCU projects.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, I think people these days. We'll get on to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. People these days, for some reason, are so needing of tie-ins to this thing from this long ago. And I don't really get it. Like when people were saying, "Oh, I can't wait for all the cameos," I was like, "But we just did Spider-Man, where we got that, and it was really fun." But I didn't want every Marvel to that. So I'm not gonna spoil Doctor Strange, but I was really worried going into Doctor Strange. It was going to be cameo. We're going to go this universe, which is that film universe. We're going to, and I was like, please don't make it be that. And I'm saying with Moon Knight, I would have hated it if a Marvel character just popped up and was like, I'm in the story now. Obviously, for Hawkeye, it made sense for Yelena to show up because that was previously set up, so therefore it didn't come out of nowhere. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I like the fact that it kind of stuck to its own guns, and I don't think it needed it, to be honest with you.
No, it could stand up on its own for sure. So
yeah.
So
I'm excited to see what comes next.
Whatever comes next. Hoping more of a season 2, but yeah, hopefully, I'm sure we'll see more of him at some point.
Absolutely. Right, now it's time for your main event of the podcast, guys. We're going to talk about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like I said, we're going to start with no spoilers, and then I will categorically tell you to click off because we're going to be getting into some spoilers.
That's not for you, the audience. That's for me because I don't want to slip out a spoiler in a spoiler-free section.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, this film originally meant to be directed by Scott Derrickson, then taken over by Sam Raimi. Also originally meant to be coming out before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And now coming out after Spider-Man. Obviously, tenuous reshoots as well. I can't lie, going into this one, Rees, I was a bit worried. That doesn't sound like the great start for a film.
Like stuff like that, and then like the hype train for cameos, like you weren't thinking, oh, is it going to be too overload? Will it affect the story? So, and like the reviews as well haven't been like a slam dunk. So I was a bit like, ooh, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go first and foremost. I'm gonna say that I really enjoyed this. Like, I really enjoyed this. Because for me, the Marvel films these days, like some of them feel very formulaic. Not that I don't like the formula. I'm a big fan of the formula. I'm a massive Marvel fan, as you guys know. I've done Endgame to now. I've not really been negative about any of them. Really, there's ones that I like less than others, but I'm a big fan of the formula. I think they're fun films that even if some of them don't break the mold and they're just 2 hours of superhero fun, I can go, that was all right. I had a good time. I'm not asking for my money back. But I thought this was in areas sublime. And obviously I think that comes down to Sam Raimi and the direction, and we'll get into the more specifics of that when we can. But I thought this was brilliant. I thought obviously there were parts that didn't work. You can tell kind of the clashing of creators when you could tell that this part was originally written before, and they kind of twist it and turn it a little bit, make it work, or parts were cut out and you were like, how did we get here so quickly? At the end of the day, mate, I had a good time. What about yourself?
Yeah, on the whole, yeah, I thought it was an entertaining ride. I was I was pleased how kind of grounded it was, as opposed to it being like this like, oh, this is from this universe and this universe. But I really enjoyed all the kind of character stuff, and I would say really grounded. They're like visually amazing. Like it was obviously pushing the envelope of like the horror thing, and that's why you get Sam Raimi so he was allowed to kind of play. The edit thing, I felt it was like it just been kind of tightened up. Like there may have been stuff like I said, the reshoots like tighten up as well, but it just felt like a really nice, concise. It didn't feel too long. I felt like I kind of got everything. And yeah, it was apart from like a few little nitpicks, like this ain't like it feels like very middle of the road Marvel film for me. I'll be honest, it's not the best, but it's just like
I agree.
It's good.
I agree. No, I think you're in the right place. I think we're kind of on the same page here. I think there are elements of it that I think are some of the best in the MCU. Like, I can't really get into that in a minute because we have to talk about that in the spoiler section. But there are elements here that I think are wonderful. There are elements that let it down for me. One of those elements is definitely not Benedict Cumberbatch to Doctor Strange. He is slowly, every time I see him, becoming one of my favourites. I think he is brilliant. I'm a big Cumberbatch fan anyway, but I think although the accent, it doesn't bother me. Again, we're Doctor Who fans. We've seen some terrible acting from time to time. We've seen bad accents. We can kind of get on with it. But like, I don't think the accent's that, but I really like him. And I think because now he's at Infinity War, where it was really his kind of film, in a sense. Obviously, it was Thanos' movie, but he's kind of lead Avenger with the whole Stones thing and knowing about them. He's kind of like in point as an Avenger. I think he's grown from where he was in the first film. He really got to hone that in the Infinity War film. And then now we get to here, I really like where the character is. He's still that arrogant side, but again, you see with certain characters how he is letting himself open up a bit more and how actually there is a tragic side to him. And we do find out a very gruesome part of his backstory, which was a massive shock in that one scene, again, which we can't get into here. But I think overall he was brilliant throughout, especially as we're having to play multiple different versions of himself, which isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailers.
Well, I think like him and the whole cast, everybody was like really playing their A game. I think, like you said, people playing different versions. You got America Chavez, who obviously knew as well, and Elizabeth Olsen as well, giving a really emotional performance. Carrying on obviously from WandaVision. So nothing. My faults with like. I say faults, but like my nitpicks of the film have nothing to do with like the cast. I think all the cast is top notch.
Yeah, I will say as well, it's like this goes some ways that I kind of like how, again, I can't be going into it at this point because of spoilers, but I like how simple.
It's ain't the last long the spoiler section.
I like the simplicity of the storyline. Although it's Multiverse of Madness, the bare bones of it is very, very simple.
Yes,
and that's really useful.
That's definitely a positive. Like you said, going into it, like you said, like every bloody Marvel character has been rumored, and it was a nice surprise, like you said, to have like a simple bare bones story, and it's not a negative. That's like I think that's the right choice to do. You do get those boxes ticked in a surprising way for like cameos, etc. But it doesn't detract from the main story of the film. I think the heart in the film is like Civil War. Like it was this kind of Avengers 2.5, but it was a Captain America story. This is a Doctor Strange film at the heart of it, I think.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, I think temper your expectations of the cameos. It's not here's a cameo. We're not going to go to this universe and that universe. There is enough. There is. Look, if you're a massive Marvel geek, there is a lovely bit in here that you'll go, holy S word, that was incredible. But don't think it's going to be, well, this universe, I'm going to see this character. It's not that. It's not Doctor Strange hopping between dimensions so we can go have a cup of tea with Tobey Maguire. It's not that. So just temper your expectations on that regard. But actually, I'd say that helps for a much better story that we kind of have this kind of plot of going A to B. I also say as well, I can't see go into spoilers, but I like the fact that this film relies on you watching other things to know how the setup of this film starts. It doesn't kind of hold your hand and go, right, so this is what happened in this bit and this bit. So now we're here. It goes, right, you should have seen those. So when this film starts and things start to happen, you go, right, we're 10 minutes in and we already know what's happening.
Yeah, it was cool. I think this is the first movie anyway that's kind of incorporated, obviously, one of the Disney Plus shows so heavily. It's obviously WandaVision. Like it assumes you've watched that. It does it. To be fair, it does a good job. Like it does give a brief explanation, like throughout, like reminding kind of what's happening in that. But you get more of a satisfying viewing experience if you have seen WandaVision. But yeah. Great. Very well.
Absolutely. And I think overall, it's one of those shows. It's one of those films where you can't say that it's too slow. It moves at a brisk pace. And it was quite interesting because we had this kind of conversation on our last Marvel podcast with Endgame, and John was saying that he doesn't think it's good to rely on the other properties because it hurts individual films. I've always said I see the Marvel Universe like a massive book, and every single film is a different chapter. So you they rely on you at this point to have seen X, Y, Z to understand the next part. I think this is the carbon copy of that. So when John goes to see it, later this week, he was going to be on this podcast, but he wasn't, fortunately with timing didn't work out. So when he does go to see it, I really hope that actually that doesn't distract from him, because I think everyone's going to have a really good time as well. Anybody who watched WandaVision beforehand?
Yeah, I can see that, but
maybe it's because
yeah. Well, well, there again, though, I spoke to a friend who hadn't seen WandaVision, and they got it just fine. So I think it works on its. You have to make it work on its own, but you get more of you get more stuff, a backstory, because when they're on about certain things, I can't say it now, but certain items or books,
yes,
you know what it is because you've seen WandaVision. So.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think, no, it's okay. Obviously, we're going to dance around. Okay. You spoiled that there's books in the movie. Oh, God, yeah, no. But yeah, overall, to wrap up the no spoilers section of this, really good time, solid MCU movie. It's definitely mid-pack going into the top half for me. It's not, I think, it's one of those. But I don't think it's trying to be the best MCU movie. There are some times where I think, I'm the same with Doctor Who. There are some episodes that I don't need them to be the best of all time. And sometimes they're not trying to be the best of all time. They're trying to be solid entertainment. I think this is a solid 2-hour Doctor Strange film, which is just pushing the Marvel train along just that little bit so we can get closer to this bit and that bit, whilst at the same time being a really good story for Doctor Strange and the character. And I can't see where it goes after this. But yeah, I had a really good time. If I had to give it a rating, quickly, I'd probably give it around about a 7.5 to an 8. I think really, really solid, sort of 3.5 star, 4 star, roughly is where I'd be aiming for.
Yeah, I'd probably say 6.5.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Right, now, if you are listening to the long form podcast version of this, stop. Because we're going to go into spoilers straight away. Right. I think because obviously this film isn't too long and it's sort of actually set piece, we can talk about it in order, quite linear. There's not too much going on. We kind of go from point A to point B. It's not like Infinity War and Endgame where we just have to dance around things and try. With this one, you can sort of just go from A to B. So obviously, I really like the fact that you start this film off instantly, obviously, with America Chavez in some kind of. Yeah, and I think we're calling him Defender Strange on the internet. So we call him Defender Strange.
Well,
ponytail shirt.
Oh, you can't see it. Well, I have a figure, and yeah, that's what they call it on the box.
Cool. Defender Strange. And really dark opening again here. Obviously, they're being chased by some creature with runes on it. It's made out of ribbons. And Defender Strange could straight up kill America Chavez. Which I wasn't to this. I was already like, Jesus Christ. Because I think it's implied that.
Oh, go on, sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say that's one of the great. There's many great setups throughout the film that really perfect at the end. So that decision at the beginning, where he's like, "I'm going to kill her," and then obviously the same decision later on at the end, and it's like, yeah. So yeah, it's a dark opening epic action sequence. I'm sorry, that's probably my Facebook thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think overall the fact that it turned into obviously America starporting out there was as Defender Strange gets impaled. Lots of blood in this movie, by the way. Don't take your kids to see it. They're going to hate it. They might not have a good time. There's a lot. No, Rees, somebody's neck gets snapped. It's very dark.
I
wouldn't take a 7 to 8 year old to watch it.
I think that'd be all right. I reckon 6 and younger.
You take a 7-year-old. If you had a 7-year-old, you'd to watch this.
Yeah,
Well, you would anyway because you'd
they've
have
seen a
you
lot.
would you would anyway because you'd have to because you'd have to be looking after the kid and you'd be like, no, screw it, I'm still gonna go
I
watch
want
the
to
film.
watch it.
By the way,
No,
Rees might have a kid.
I think this probably sounds very horrible, but kids nowadays is probably a lot worse than what we would sort of like exposed to. Like, I think it's PG-13, so I think like as long as parents know that it's there are horror elements in it, like there are pretty gruesome stuff. So I guess it depends on the child's fear factor.
I think this opening intro was really cool. We've seen them wake up with Doctor Strange in bed. And that obviously gives us the themes. We'll jump on a little bit. So it gives us themes that, which I really like, is that dreams are images of our multiversal selves. I really like that because now, even as a regular person, when you dream, you're going to go, but is there a universe where I think like Wong says, where I'm naked being chased by a clown?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
it's like I've had some interesting dreams where things happen. I'm like, Christ, thank God that actually didn't happen. So imagine if that is a multiversal version of myself, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, it's a cool like everybody like speculates on dreams, and there's if you do like if there are like it's like dreams obviously like kind of bits and bobs your brain puts together with like your day or etc. and obviously makes a story to kind of process it all. But it's a cool MCU way to be like, if it was a dream now, you're in a different multiverse than someone else.
Yeah, but it's interesting about dreams. I'll throw that back at you, Rees. We had a dream about a certain conversation that hasn't happened yet, and then a few days later, that conversation will happen.
I get that loads. And like you sit and you go, you go over it and you're like, stop, this is deja vu. So
I've seen, and you go, I dreamt about this. Yeah. Like, and like I have it like a really like boring point to this. I'll be at a till in Tesco, and I'll go, I remember hearing that over the shoulder of I've been here before. It's the Matrix of the lie.
Could well be.
Yeah, but overall, I think really cool, interesting. One thing I saw this film does so much better is expanding on the characters for the first Doctor Strange movie. Like Rachel McAdams was done dirty in the first Doctor Strange movie. In this movie, obviously, our 616 version of Christine Palmer doesn't get much to do, but Rachel McAdams does as Christine. And I think she's really good in it.
Yeah, I really loved her inclusion. Like, I felt like by the end it was like her kind of saying goodbye in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, obviously you start off obviously with our universe one. Like she's moved on, she's made her own choice, being like, like it will never work. And like the wedding stuff, like it's great when he sat down with his mate, the Doctor, not Doctor Who. And he's like, oh my. It's kind of self-doubt thing as well, which is like there's a couple themes like the like he says, oh, is he happy, and that goes throughout the film, like what does Doctor Strange want, and then the kind of like he puts the self-doubt being like, was there any other way, like obviously that was his decision to help Thanos, the 5-year snap thing, so kind of those little kind of character arcs go in motion, and then obviously the wedding stuff, and then obviously kicked into another action sequence. Like the first 20 minutes, half an hour is just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, you could tell the Sam Raimi effect instantly because we actually saw Doctor Strange go from human life to superhero life like that, and that's something we kind of miss in these MCU movies sometimes. We get it with Spider-Man, especially in Homecoming, but in this film, we rarely see. Normally, our heroes just start out like that, and they're heroes for the rest of the film. You rarely kind of get down moments. So see Doctor Strange going about his day and then switching to the Sorcerer Supreme like that.
That was so cool when he finished his drink, put it down, jumped off the building, and then he's like, oh, brilliant.
And it's ripped straight out of one of those Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Like you could just imagine Tobey Maguire going about his day, delivering his pizza, then going, "Oh crap, no, I've got to sit up for Spider-Man." Straight out of that. And obviously we get into this really cool fight with the tentacle monster from the trailers. Really cool action set piece, really. Again, it's a bit of fun. It's kind of your opening set piece. There's some really cool moments with the cloak of levitation. Obviously, Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme, which is a hilarious joke running throughout. I love Wong anyway. But yeah, really, like you said, really fun intro to this. It's nothing special. It's a cool design of the magic. I think overall Marvel have now been a bit more comfortable with using more magic than they were in the first film. I think now they kind of just go, we could do this with the magic now. Deal with it. We'll go. Well, it's magic, so why not?
Yeah, it was cool seeing. I guess their advanced like skill set. Like, I think him and like Doctor Strange and Wanda and I guess Wong as well, are kind of like at peak performance, I guess.
Yeah, they can have like conjure up swords and dragons and stuff.
Yeah, and like I was really shocked when like how they defeat the monster. Like Doctor Strange uses like arms or monster arms, and then I think there's like a moment where, like a monster deflects a car. It comes up and it's like so. Yeah, so it's visually, visually very very cool. Very
obviously, nice. obviously, that's when we get into the talk with America Chavez and she explains what's going on. She's being chased by somebody who doesn't know what. And obviously, Doctor Strange goes, right, well, who do we know that knows how to deal with sorcery? Because it's been said, I think there's reference that these creatures are being conjured up. They're not, they're being made by somebody to chase after America. So Doctor Strange goes, right, well, I know a good sorceress. We'll go to her. And obviously, that's where we get the shot for the trailer when they talk about Westview. And then she's like, why don't you bring America here? But the key thing was Doctor Strange never said her name.
I didn't pick up on that until you said it. I was like, oh.
And then the pin dropped. And it was like, oh. Because look, they were really good as well. Obviously, when we knew Wanda was in the film, we knew there was antagonistic moments, but we were very unclear about how Wanda was going to work into the film. So she's saying her as the primary antagonist from the offset. Yeah. It's really interesting. I knew that there would possibly be a transitional point where she would start off perhaps helping America and then realizing, oh no, I can use this, but seeing her as actual main, just going for it and going, no, this hero that you've loved is now essentially ready to sacrifice a child is, it's to feel I have to respect the balls on Kevin Feige and Sam Raimi just to go, yeah, we're just gonna. You should have seen WandaVision. If you haven't, that's your fault.
Yeah, imagine jumping from this. Yeah, it must be crazy, like because like you said, obviously all WandaVision is a nice kind of smooth transition. Like if you're from Endgame to this, it's like, yeah. I want to kill people. So
I've also seen complaints though about Wanda's characterization of that she was resolved at the end of WandaVision. I don't really agree with, because it's very clear in this film that the more you use the Darkhold, the more it corrupts you, and the more worse you get. We've seen that with the other strangers in the film as well. Obviously, towards the end of the film. And it's throughout, and even towards the climax of the film, you realize that she's coming from the right place. She's doing this. She's being blinded by the Darkhold, and clearly there is, obviously you see with like the black fingers and such, that there is kind of an effect that you have. And they always talk about like the demons inside that affect you. And we see what happens to Doctor Strange because he's in the Darkhold at the end of this movie. So it's very clear that the Darkhold can corrupt. So I think it works. So I'm not going, but she was good again at the end of WandaVision, because that was never really the case.
No, I think like the end of the WandaVision, obviously, yeah, she kind of put that to bed, but she still wants that. And like you said, the Darkhold obviously took over. So maybe they could have done more of a thing to address, like more emphasis on like the Darkhold being like corrupting her more and more, as opposed to being like, yeah, she's just turned bad now. Obviously getting near the end and that, and obviously, yeah, but yeah, she's just corrupt on power, I guess. So dark magic.
Yeah, overall I thought it was really good, and I like the fact that straight away the Doctor Strange essentially he's blown it. He's told her exactly where she'll be, when she'll be there. I do like the back and forth. Go on.
No, go on, yeah.
No, go on.
No, I think we're going to say the same thing. Like, I liked there's moments which you said about like Infinity War and that, being like, you gave Thanos, basically you killed Vision, essentially. Yeah. Like, your decision killed Vision. And he's like, we were at war, god damn. Like, I had to make a choice.
Yeah. I really like the back and forth between those two because Doctor Strange is one thing that he has become throughout these films is empathetic. Obviously, in the first one, he didn't really give a shit about anybody but himself. He obviously still got a massive ego, but he's become much more empathetic, and you can tell that he does care for Wanda, and he's actually proven wrong because there's a brilliant line here where he goes, "Oh, but you made your kids out; they don't exist," and she says, "Well, yes, they do because I dream." And he's taken back by it because he goes, he's sort of proven wrong, and obviously he does want to help her. But there is that consistent theme of, well, how would Billy and Tommy feel if they saw you now? Which obviously, again, we get at the end of the movie in a brilliant sequence. But yeah, really cool. The battle on Kamatage was really fun. It's kind of a really cool use of Wanda's evil magic, which you kind of see. And again, she's obviously murdering people straight up. Like Wanda is in, she doesn't care. She's just
burning people alive.
Yeah. Oh my goody aunt. Yeah.
But that being Kamatage. Oh my goody aunt. She just burnt that person.
Yeah, I think as well, like I said, a really cool use of magic is obviously like the different sanctums, which is really nice.
Yeah, like the London and the Hong Kong, I think, sanctum.
Which I think we visited the Hong Kong sanctum in the other film, wasn't it? Or wasn't?
Yeah, that's where the end battle takes place, I think.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice to go back there. I think we do also visit the English one at some point throughout that film as well. I think it's like when they're traveling through different places, they end up in England, the English sanctum, maybe at the beginning of the film, I can't remember. But at the end of the day, I think overall, really cool sequence. I like the fact that Wanda essentially gets in somebody's head and she finds the weak one.
Yeah, of course, that more mystic side, like, because obviously that's what she started as in Age of Ultron, obviously, with like Tony Stark, like pick up the scepter thing. Like, so like doing the dream things. It's cool. That's still there.
Yeah, it's kind of good to see, because he's kind of turned into, when you become a hero in the Marvel universe, you kind of just become a shooty red laser, hey, hero, and it doesn't really make sense. It's kind of nice to see the more methodical sides to Wanda, and overall, I think it's one of those. Yeah, but a really understated thing of just how kind of powerful she is. Like, obviously, we talk about how powerful Marvel is. Technically, I think Wanda could kick her ass. Well, we see that. We see it in the film. Maybe not our version of, but Wanda is one strong hero or villain, I suppose, in this case.
Yeah, I think with like Doctor Strange, well, like he's using all his like puts her in the mirror thing. She gets out, like, yeah, like. She is the most powerful Avenger, like, and obviously Doctor Strange like throwing everything at her, and she's like, nah. So that's because they set that off being like, yeah, she's stronger than Doctor Strange, like near the start of the film.
So yeah, I think as you were saying, obviously as well, there wasn't there that line in WandaVision where like Agatha was like, your powers even exceed those of the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, so it was set up in that, yeah. So of course that comes to fruition anyway.
Yeah, like you said, this is where we really begin to get the start of the Sam Raimi visual sort of thing. We get to see like the mirror. We saw the mirror dimension last time as well. And obviously, picked that part down to Scott Derrickson as well. So they use that inspiration a bit more Raimi-fied. The mirror stuff. You also get like people coming out the ground. You get a sort of, I don't know why, it reminded me of the Curse of the Black Spot, where she's using the reflections and they're trying to come. I don't know, that's what I was thinking of at the moment.
Oh God, you've ruined that for me now. Shit.
I was thinking, what does this remind me of? I was like, it's the Curse of the Black Spot, they're trying to cover all the reflections in the thing. And for some reason, America Chavez is silly for 2 seconds, even though she's a really smart character, which makes a silly horror film trope of looking in the reflection. You just see her like eyes, just like, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, she does that kind of slight moment of being like, "Don't look at the puddle." Oh, I got the same Doctor 2 references. I got like Bill vibes from the pilot when she's doing that reflection and takes her mouth from like yeah,
exactly.
Doctor 2 can be played for anything. So.
Yeah, crazy. And obviously at that point, it's very clear that Tamarkaj has fallen. Not Tamarkaj. Tamarkaj has fallen. And so essentially, this is where we get our multiverse hopping. Essentially, it's set up that America Chavez has these powers, but she doesn't know how to use them. And the first port call was to go, let's find our version of America Chavez. But there's no other version of America Chavez. America Chavez doesn't.
Well, you got that really cool sequence in between that of them traveling. Like they just throw every world, like It'd be great when the digital DVD comes out and you can like go right
frame by frame.
What's that one? But yeah, like you could obviously got main ones, but there's a lot of that. I was thinking there's probably some really cool Easter eggs in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say the one that I really liked was the one where they all turned into paint.
Yeah, she was like, oh, that's a bit hard to eat in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we end up in this new world.
There's another one, sorry. The Living Tribunal, which was going to be in Infinity War.
Oh, are they in there?
Yeah, you know the heads? There's like a shot they give the heads.
It was so quick. It was so quick. I didn't have time. Didn't have time. But there we go. There's an Easter egg for you. There's some dinosaurs. Jurassic World, even as a universal thing, it's definitely not a Jurassic
animation for What If.
Oh, there we go. Who knows?
Did you watch the film? Did you see all this stuff?
Mate, to be fair, it was so quick.
I think it is very quick and you miss it.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And obviously they end up in this universe. It's very similar to ours. It's the green, the kind of like grown over universe from the trailers.
I don't think they didn't really go much into that really, like because they're all dressed up in like everybody was dressed up in like suit and a hat.
And they go on red and they move on red.
Yeah. It's like okay, just roll with it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Then we got
it's one of those things where it's just like they go, what can we make it a bit weird? Okay, they can wear suits, they can move on red. And obviously, yeah, we get Bruce Campbell in this movie, which I think Raimi fans are going to know who that is. My friends who are MCU fans had no idea who that was. So I was like, so in the second post credit scene, they were like, that shit. I was like, that was amazing. He comes in. Is it Pizza Papa or something? Is that his name?
Yeah. So because she nicks a pizza, but it's not a slice. It's like a pizza ball.
And then he says,
he's like, "No, you don't have to pay for it here." And he's like, "Yes, you do."
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange does that thing where like, beat him up for 3 weeks.
Yeah, because I think he's just sort of like Pizza Papa always gets paid. The Doctor Strange goes, "Okay, Pizza Papa."
The audience I was with for the second post credit scene, because it's literally like a massive like, "That's it, ha ha ha," and there's these group of teenagers, and one of them was like, I missed my bus for this. God damn it. It's just a throwaway like Marvel, yeah.
The second one normally is though. It's normally it's the mid credits is normally you're normally a big cool, exciting.
Then they get that so they're walking, aren't they? And then you get that really cool bit where they stand on like the memory dishes. Which are quite so. I think it's cool to remind us where like Doctor Strange is at with like Christie and that, but obviously then we get the introduction of like America Chavez with like her mother's. Just like really sad. Obviously,
really good bit right there. And I have to say, it's a fair play to Marvel for sticking to their guns with the representation in this film. That has been a big part of the press junket about how in certain films that it's not for certain countries.
Yeah, certain countries they've banned the film. Yeah.
Yeah, and Marvel have said we don't care.
Massive middle finger to those countries.
I think obviously, but it come back shit on the head. No, on the head said he feels sorry for the people in those countries because it's not really down to them.
No.
You know, and they should be able to see the film because
Elizabeth Olsen said, maybe you can travel.
Yeah.
Like, would people go to a different country to watch this film? Like, is that actually people going to point?
Probably.
If it was Doctor Who, you probably Yeah.
I mean, Britain would have to go right downhill for them to ban Doctor Who. That would be a bit backwards.
No, but I mean, like in the kind of like, how much of a fan would you be? Like, I'd just be like,
I would. I think I would go. I mean, but this is where we run into Prime Mordo outside the Sanctum Sanctorum. Also, it's that statue of Strange in the trailer is a monument to Strange, saying "Die fighting Thanos," which we'll come back to later. He's talking to Baron Mordo, and it seems in this reality that Mordo and Strange actually always got on. It seems like there was never that.
That was genuinely funny. I thought when like because he's like, oh, this guy. He's like, brother! And he's like, okay, yeah, like
He's like, I always knew this day would come, but it turns out that he drugs Stephen in America, and he says, "No, I'm only doing what you would do," which, to be fair, isn't wrong. And we'll leave Strange in that for now, because then we turn back to Wanda and Wong. Turns out that Wanda is she's trying to use the Darkhold. She's trying to what they call dream walking. It's essentially taking over another multiverse version of yourself and being able to walk in their shoes.
that was
But then one of the members of the Camotage and the Mystic Arts are secretly behind Wong, but she's going to go and kill the Darkhold. And what is the person that destroys the Darkhold won't survive. So Wong says, "Let me do it." They go, "No, I'm not letting that happen." They destroy the Darkhold. The Darkhold's gone. Wanda goes ape. She's like, "What do I do now?" And she's literally going to kill all of the students underneath the rubble at Camotage.
yeah.
And then Wong, says that turns out that the book was a copy and that the original spells are all on this mountain.
That felt like, oh, we need to get the Illuminati stuff scene, so let's delay her for a bit, because she could have just gone straight into the thing, like, and probably got them before they got to the Illuminati. But yeah, obviously, and obviously had a set stage for like that, the monument.
Yeah, totally. And I think overall as well, I think it showed how far Wanda was willing to go. I think obviously because we see her sort of blow things up, but she hasn't killed anyone at this point. As you can see in that scene, actually, she's actually pretty willing.
Well, I think she's killed a lot of people before that scene.
I thought it was implied that they were all just kind of like having a nap.
No, there's one. There's one before that. Before she gets into she comes to the ground of Carmitage, and there's this man like struggling, like, and he's bleeding. She just goes vaporize him.
Oh, yeah, so you are right. Yep. Yeah. Okay. No, I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you.
It's just many. Yeah, sorry, just many people she's killed. A part of the
So then her and Wong end up getting to Wundagore Mountain. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. And it turns out that actually on Wundagore Mountain there is a throne for the Scarlet Witch. So that feeds her ego even more.
That's quite a clever twist, where it's like, because you think the monsters are going to attack them, and it's like, oh no, actually they're worshippers of the legend of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. And then she manages to take over a version of Wanda. Do you know what I think was really weird in this film? Was the fact that obviously I understand obviously contracts and timing, but Paul Bettany wasn't about, and so there's universes that he clearly probably would have been around this vision.
Yeah, there should have.
When I was watching it, I was like, where is he? Like, it just feels weird to cut to a universe where Vision's just not about. Like,
is it like America Chavez, where like there's only one Vision?
No,
that's what I mean. It's a bit like, huh?
Yeah,
that's a shame, because that was again with WandaVision. That was something really strong. And I was half expecting a cameo. Like, it would have been
the white version, I think.
It's more about like, I don't know, because obviously, like she said, says goodbye. Well, she said goodbye to both of like Vision and her kids and the thing. But it's mainly obviously in this film, it's like, I'm trying to get my kids back. Like, Vision's obviously out there, but like obviously at the end of one,
obviously a different version of Vision. Yeah, Vision's like the white Vision, who I think at the end of that, if I'm not mistaken, the R version of Vision explains to him about the conundrum between a boat or something, and it's really weird.
But he kind of transfers like his memories of consciousness, and then so he will show up. But I was half expecting in this film, like, just as
where though. I don't think Armor Wars, maybe.
Yeah. Why not this? Yeah, that's a big question.
Why not this? I like you said, they probably would think we did it in WandaVision already. We didn't need it again. But I'm not saying we need our version of Vision. I'm just saying that there are scenes where Paul Bettany should be at the sofa with the kids, and he's just not there. Yeah. And like I just thought, obviously, you could go, well, Vision was just out. But my question would be, where? He's a fucking robot. And if it's an Avengers style thing, why isn't Wanda there? If you say, why isn't there a child sitter? Take him to the Avengers facility, and so on and so on. We could go through these rabbit holes all day, is what I'm saying. So don't, to me, it just felt a bit weird considering that the kids were so intrinsic to Wanda and Vision. It wasn't just a Wanda thing, it was a Vision thing as well. That she wanted to get the kids back. She knew she couldn't really get Vision back because she knows how Vision works. There was only one version of her specific Vision. But the kids, there's a possibility of getting them back, which I thought was really cool. And we see her take over. But then we get to the meat and potatoes of it. This is what we were kind of all excited about from the trailers and
Spoilers
stuff.
Spoilers again.
Massive spoilers coming up now. So we get to the Illuminati, and we see Christine Palmer. She works for she works for the Baxter Foundation, and all our little ears prick up, and we go, "Oh, okay." Which, so the pictures that I saw on the internet made me go, right, well, they're true now, aren't they? So unfortunately, I knew who could be possibly popping up in the next few minutes or so. As soon as that was said, I was like, okay, well then, I know. But they're in cells. They're not allowing. They're not in cells. They're in prison cells. They're not inside. I just realized I call them incels. The cats are not incels. They're in prison cells. And
they're like containment facilities, aren't they? Because
and there's some really good bit of dialogue.
We're checking for viruses, and it gets a lot of backstory in that scene, and how she's it was a good scene.
Really good scene, especially she's like, oh, you might have viruses and things that we're not used to, or vice versa. So really cool stuff. And then we get the thing from Mordo is like, the Illuminati will see you now. And I love the line, the Illuminati. Just really, again, Cumberbatch is brilliant. He goes in the room, and the Illuminati are there. Right, we have Mordo. We then get introduced to Black Bolt, who I didn't know who that was, so I didn't really care. But everyone was going ape shit.
Did your theatre go ape shit like they did with Endgame with Spider-Man or not?
No,
mine was pretty quiet.
I went at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. So probably, I didn't go at the peak nerd time. I went, let's go, and it's a bit quiet. We have Lashana Lynch's version. I forget, is it Monica?
Monica, I think.
Yeah, okay, Monica Rambeau. We get Captain Carter, essentially just ripped straight from the What If series.
Yeah.
We get Charles Xavier, and the big one for me, because I've been excited for this for a while, was John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
I would just say, how cool! Now, obviously, they are doing the Fantastic Four. What a way! If he is in the Fantastic Four film, what a cool way to reveal casting for an upcoming superhero film. I think that's bloody it did leak online beforehand. However, to announce it within a film, he may not even be. Actually, no, I'm going to scrap it. He may not even be in the Fantastic Four film, but
I really hope he is.
I hope he is.
Although now they've done it, I'm really disappointed if it isn't him. I feel bad for it. If it was
funny. It was funny though, because they said, "Oh, he's the smartest man in the multiverse ever." But he did make some very silly decisions. So,
Also, it's very good in this film to see Doctor Strange kind of saying to them all, Wanda's dangerous, and they're going, oh, if Wanda comes here, we'll get rid of her, it's easy. And Doctor Strange is going, no, seriously, don't
they say she's like, oh yeah, she'll be nothing. We're like,
we get a nice trial and testament as well. We see what really happened to their version of Doctor Strange, and he got manipulated by the Darkhold. So after they killed Thanos, he had to die as well because he was too far gone. Killed by Black Bolt. Again, I didn't know who Black Bolt was, so his power was kind of a mystery.
I was going to say that,
but it seems as if he speaks, he can kill people or something. I suppose
that's basically it. Yeah, I was thinking that I've not seen the Inhuman show, but I know about the character in that, so I was a bit when I saw him, I was thinking, literally that's all he does. Literally just speaks and you die. That's it. It's just that's it. That's his superpower.
Yeah, obviously, I think one of the best bits though was seeing the return of.
Which is mind blowing.
Oh, we'll get to that
Oh,
in a minute. But no, I think one of the best bits as well was seeing the return of Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, who is not Mr. Beat, by the way, in this film, like at all.
what?
He's not Mr. Beat, is he? As Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart. He's not Mr. at all. He's there.
Oh, sorry. I was like, who's Mr. B?
Not Mr.
Yeah, that's like what you said. I was like, what's it Mr. B? No, he hasn't. No, he's jumped straight. He's a bit older than him, but yeah, no, he just
He's a bit old. He was like 60 anyway, wasn't he? He doesn't look that much older.
uh yeah, I could say he's a bit more like warier, but no, he was very good. He was very good. All of them were. All of them were.
All of them were, it just makes you go, oh, I really want to see a couple of these versions. Like, I want to see more Captain Carter. I want to see more John Krasinski.
She was, yeah, her fight with Wanda as well was like really, like, she went to
really cool.
Yeah.
She got most of the stuff. She wasn't, okay, let's be honest. Right, so what happens now is Wanda invades the facility and the Illuminati go and deal with stuff. Meanwhile, though, Patrick Stewart conveniently stays behind to Strange and goes, Stephen, if you get out, go this way to get to the book. Oh, sorry, we've entirely missed the plot of this film. They're trying to get to something called the Book of Vishanti, I think, yeah. Which is like the alternate to the Darkhold, essentially the Book of Light, if you want to count the Darkhold as the Book of dark magic.
Yeah, and it can solve any sorcerer's problems or something like that. It's basically like the ultimate book to overcome any sorcerer obstacles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically the perfect book for Doctor Strange to have.
And after this amazing Illuminati vote scene, Patrick goes, "Yeah, Stephen, mate, just go down that way and you can find it."
It's just I did kind of think of that as a bit. It's like, oh yeah, no, your other self, like, he died. He set like a little backdoor corridor. I understand the point is to show that Professor X is possibly the smartest of them, and he can easily tell very quickly if people's hearts are in the right places. I get that's kind of the point. Yeah, it was not. I have to say, I do like the fact that it was his character that said it as well. I think that's kind of a nice kind of ending point for him as a character, because his last ever shot as the character is not very nice. But we'll get to that now. But first we have a quick fight between Doctor Strange and Mordo, where essentially Doctor Strange is so smart that he kind of reverse engineers Mordo into help breaking him free, because he's like, in my universe, we didn't get on. And I guarantee it's the same here. I guarantee you like the fact that I'm dead, because now you're the Sorcerer Supreme. You get to sit at the table. And you can totally see that might have been the case, actually. Maybe.
There are, because he does, you do kind of see it get to Mordo in the movie.
He gets stabbed, doesn't he? So I think there must be something to that.
And it's a really cool fight scene, actually. Really cool fight scene.
Yeah, it's cool because, like, obviously Doctor Strange has obviously got the handcuffs on, and I think at one point he gets them off and he has one of them on.
He gives one to Mordo, so they're sort of both wearing them.
What's the line he says when he's walking away? I thought that was quite funny. He's like, I really... what does he say? It's quite funny when Doctor Strange running away. He's like, I really don't like you, or something like that. I can't remember. We've only seen this film once, so... Yeah,
exactly. We just did it once, and it was literally yesterday. So, but yeah, then obviously we get to the meat and potatoes of this sequence. Well, it's not even that. It's not even the best part of this entire sequence, really, but it's incredible. The Illuminati stand up to Wanda. You've got Mr. Fantastic, you've got Black Bolt, you've got Captain Marvel, and you've got Captain Carter. Mr. Fantastic goes, Wanda, Black Bolt can destroy you by opening his mouth. And Wanda immediately goes, what mouth? And then I assume Black Bolt goes to speak and implodes his own head. And when I tell you, like I said, kids might struggle a little bit. Rees was like, nah, the amount of blood you just get off the brain, like exploding.
A little pop. It's not like...
No, I'm not saying it's like 18, but I'm saying for a Disney Marvel movie, it's a lot. I'm not...
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm going... I'm not saying it's like, oh my God, this is the goriest film ever, this is Walking Dead. I'm saying for a kid who could enjoy, it's like, oh, I really like Spider-Man, he's really... I wouldn't take...
Blow your Black Bolt action figure with...
Yeah. Then Mr. Fantastic tries to do something I want to just essentially pulls him like like a cheese string, essentially, and just kind of...
That's another brutal line. She's like, she's like, he's trying to sympathize with her, saying, "Oh, I've got kids myself," and she's like, "Do they have a mother? Oh, good, they won't be alone." And he's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah,
literally. And then we do get a bit more time with Captain Carter versus Wanda, like you said, a really kind of cool back and forth.
There's a very funny look with those two being like, "Oh no," and then
oh shit,
"Oh shit."
And then literally, you want to talk about gruesome, bloody death. Essentially, Wanda just throws the shield back at Captain Carter and just splits her in half. And you do hear
line as well of her saying, "Oh, I can do some." Like she spits all the blood out, and she's like,
"Yeah,
I can do day." And like you said,
yeah, that was cool. Like I said, it was really cool. Like I said, Captain Carter's also gone, and you're like, "Oh god, no." And then Captain Marvel's the only one left, and Captain Marvel just gets killed by rubble, and you're like, "Oh shit."
That's one of those fights I've wanted to like. Since Captain Marvel came off one of the two strongest like female characters, it's sort of like, so I'm glad they kind of did that in a way, like it's going toe to toe. And obviously, they do go toe to toe quite a bit, but then she's just more strong. She's like a mask, or like she can't.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'd say as well, I'm happy that Lashana Lynch, who's got more screen time in the MCU, she was actually one of the better parts of the Captain Marvel film. She was really good in the James Bond film. I don't know if you saw that one, the latest No Time to Die.
He was amazing, yeah.
She's really good in that. She's really good in this as well. She's really good in this as well. Like she's so happy she got more time. In my opinion, she's actually better than Brie Larson. But hey, who said that? Not me. I don't hate Brie Larson as much as many people, but yeah, I think charisma is lacking a little bit.
I think she's got like Brie Larson's got obviously unnecessary hate as Captain Marvel, but with Monica, it's a real shame because obviously in WandaVision we find out she died of like an illness in between the snap. So obviously there's a cool opportunity to bring her back. Obviously
as this version, yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. Like just no commitments, just cool cameo.
Yeah,
right.
But also through this part of the film, we also see America Chavez sort of start to use that power. Again, not knowing she's doing it, but having more command over it. She's able to sort of break the glass container, get out, and essentially, Doctor Strange, Christine, and America head down into the sewer where the thing is. And this is the moment where I crap my pants. So there's a few good horror moments here with Wanda following them. There's this great moment where essentially Doctor Strange essentially drowns her. But they can still sort of hear her, and he's like, "Yeah, really brought us down." And literally Sam Raimi style.
That was a jump scare.
Yeah. And literally, I felt really bad. I was a little kid who was like 9 or 10 in front of me with their mum, and that I'm a scaredy cat anyway. So I literally involuntarily go, "Oh fuck!" You know, I was like, "Oh no!" So they looked behind me, and I was like, "Oh no!"
What shit, man? Oh no! You crushed that child, Alex.
Yeah, I know. No, honestly,
that was a you could tell like
something was happening.
Speaking of that, there were lots of like quiet moments. Like it was annoying because the cinema I was at, you could hear the other film because there were certain scenes that were so quiet, like to entice you into like being like, "Oh, what's a jump scare?"
Who's good? Yeah. Who's gonna jump up now?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you can hear the bad guys. Meanwhile, you can hear the bad guys playing in the other room.
It might have been that actually.
It might have been ambulance.
Like, there's that bit like we're wandering like the thing, and she's like trying to work out to get out. I know you can hear is. I was like, for fuck's sake.
Then we head to the area where the Book of the Vishanti is, and essentially Wanda destroys it. And we're like, "Oh God, okay. So now we don't have a Book of Vishanti. Wanda's got the Darkhold and America Chavez. What do we do?"
Kind of parallel what else happened to her with the book as well.
The Darkhold. Also at this point as well, it was kind of built up in the Illuminati scene that universes can sort of fold in on themselves. And Stephen and Christine get sent to the universe where that has clearly happened. Very similar to what we saw in the Doctor Strange episode of What If in episode 4.
It was very much like kind of the black goo coming off all the landscapes and that.
quickly, Rees, before we go further onto the story, I do want to say this. I would say the big hook on Multiverse of Madness, for some, even though Marvel never confirmed it, and it was all rumor and hearsay and whatever, was that there was going to be a lot of cameos. Did the Illuminati scene, which, to be fair, a good 15 minutes of the film, did that do it for you? Because it did it for me. I didn't need it to be universe hopping. Oh, we see Tobey Maguire now.
I'm going to be controversial. I think it distracted from the plot. I think it was just it felt like it was just like, here's a 20-minute scene, tick the box. All right, you've had your multiverse stuff. Right, can we get back on with a Doctor Strange film? Thank you very much.
I think it was more. It was also a good way of showing Wanda's power, though, in comparison to other heroes. I think.
Yeah,
I think because as well. Oh, we forgot to talk about the big one, which was Patrick Stewart. We forgot to have a quick.
Oh, so, shoot, yeah.
Patrick Stewart. We see that go into like a white void mind battle with Wanda. Underneath the rubble is the Wanda from this universe. He's trying to pull her out of the rubble, try and save her. And the other Wanda slowly. There's this red mist that starts engulfing.
Do you think that was genuine, or do you think that was a lure by the evil Wanda to be like?
No, I think that was the genuine Wanda try, because obviously the real Wanda is still in there somewhere. Because
it was cool because you had the rubble, and then on the TV you had the wedding of them getting married from WandaVision as well.
Yeah,
like the broken telly, which is quite cool. So I was like,
it was really good actually visually, really good visually.
Like it's
and you see, and he knows it's too late, and then you just see hands go out, and she just cracked the guy's neck, and I'm like,
all right, I take that back. Yeah, kids shouldn't watch this film.
It's just like, what the?
Oh dear.
I was sat there. I was going because obviously, look, I don't mind violent superheroes. I watched the Batman. I thought the Batman was great, but like I said, I don't want to oversell it. Like, it's not a terrifying, scary, 15 rated Walking Dead, but I'm saying for an MCU movie, it's not as kid friendly as some others.
It's definitely. I will say it's the scariest MCU film to date. I think it is. Yeah, another cool thing, like when Professor X comes, you hear the X-Men theme.
No.
But yeah, it's like you said. Obviously, I think a lot of people felt it sounds like a lot of people underwhelmed by, like, I think the hype train got away with them. People wanted Tom Cruise's Iron Man. Like, who created the Ultron bots? Why are the Ultron bots there? So I think a lot of people were like,
my question is, why did anybody, even though it was a rumored casting, why did anyone want Tom Cruise in anything? It's Tom Cruise. No, I do say, like, I hate Tom Cruise. I can watch a Mission Impossible film. I can have a good time, but I wouldn't pick Tom Cruise to be an MCU film.
I think there probably might have been, originally it might have been more, but I feel like they've probably cut back.
I
feel like there could have been more, but I do think
there was a leaked Lego set of the Spider-Man.
Yeah, so it was Tobey Maguire.
But like, I don't think that if that was genuinely shot, I don't think they would have cut Tobey Maguire out of the film. I thought that would be idiotic. Like, they wouldn't. If it was a big
but
cameo,
they spend all that money. Yeah,
of course not. Yeah, so Lego just shitting on us again, making our hopes up. But here's the thing, like, I was thinking to my friend, right, who I went with, who's a big Raimi, who's like, oh, so we should have been in the film. But I said, you just had him the film before. It would have felt really cheap to see him pop up again. You know, like, I want to see them both again. I do, and I think we will see it, especially Andrew at some point. There's rumors that they could be coming back for Secret Wars or something, and I'm all for that, bringing them back, because if they're down for it. But it was the last film we just saw them the film before. I don't need to see him again.
That's the thing as well. Like, if they're rumored to be doing Secret Wars, which is this like multiversal battle thing, maybe they didn't want to kind of do it in this film. Like, maybe it's like a kind of tease for what that film could be.
I know. I think this is exactly what this is. And I think at the end of the day, like I said, I think a film where it would have been multiverse cameo over would be great when you first watch it cinema. Go, oh god! But it's the same for me. Like, sorry to take back to Doctor Who for the listeners who watch Doctor Who, but it's like that future for the Jadoon episode, where it's great on first watch because the reveals are like, oh my god, this is great. But when you go re-watch it, it's kind of lacking in story elements. I'm actually happy, like you said, they prioritize story. So actually, when they do focus on the kind of multiverse aspect, it does feel a bit weird. But like I said, because it was 10 minutes, 50 minutes, I'm cool with it. Like I thought it was a really cool sequence. Well, I thought it did serve a purpose. It didn't really. It did, cause it's still obviously they got them to Christine, and to go into that place still kind of did work out in the end and make a good thing. Obviously our big couple final battles though is Doctor Strange versus Evil Doctor Strange from the trailer. They find the Sanctums and tore him out in the
Yeah, so that wasn't obviously the what if one, was it? Because I was thinking, because they obviously had Captain Carter, I was like, oh, because there's a lot of speculation that was going to be the what if Doctor Strange, but it was not. It was just Darkhold.
Yeah. And this is where we get the really dark reveal, actually, that Stephen's sister, he had a sister when they were kids, they were playing on the ice together, and she fell through and died.
That was gruesome, yeah.
And you're like...
Obviously, yeah, because obviously the evil Doctor Strange is like, oh, tell me something that only us would know. And obviously, so it's a coin to gain trust, but also another little cool... Not cool. But
yeah, I was also thinking that in the multiverse, what if that didn't happen? Like, it's a bit of a risky play to make that a bit of knowledge about yourself to go.
Yeah, that's an idea for how it should have ended.
Because you could have gone. No, not in my universe.
Who's Donna? I don't have a sister. Oh shit.
Yeah, she works at the Walmart down the road. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think it was a really cool fight. Like I said, there's a lot of ifs and buts about will they use the dark code, can they use the dark code? No, but they end up fighting using music, which is really funny. That
was ridiculous. I felt like I was laughing at the film at that point.
But it's so good. It's so good though.
It doesn't even play music. It doesn't even play the piano. It just felt that was one of the scenes I was like,
no, but I sort of like the fact that it was a good way of juxtaposing like the evil versus good Strange, because you had like the light music, which Stephen was playing, compared to the dark more.
Speaking of music, I didn't really like what they did with that guitar for like a dying cat. It was like,
yeah, so it's like Peter Capaldi or a Doctor Who intro. Yeah,
I don't know. It just didn't really. I don't think it kind of matches with like this Doctor Strange aspect. Like, so we've got like Thor does like the and it felt, I don't know. It just I don't think that was the right choice. But I'm not a music expert, so I don't know. But I felt that was a bit weird. And yeah, that music scene, I felt I was like. I wasn't laughing with it. I was laughing at it. I was like, oh.
Okay, no, it worked for me. It worked for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought it was kind of cool. I like the fact that he uses that one little bit of extra musical note to end up, it's dumb. I'm not denying it's dumb, but I can get on board with some dumb things. Like for example, Solid Trap being a frog, I think that's hilarious, but in like a fun way that
I love that.
But yeah, no, I thought it worked. And again, this is where we kind of get a bit of an interesting where that it was proven in that universe with the Illuminati. I think it was at 818 or something. That Stephen Strange used the Darkhold and became corrupted, and now this Stephen Strange got to do the same thing. So obviously Christine warns him, like, you're the same as the rest of them, and he says, I am the same, but right now that kid needs me, and it's the only way I'm going to be able to save her is by going in and day walking or whatever it was called. Was it day walking?
Dreamwalking.
So he has to use the dead body of Defender Strange.
That was quite funny because I was like, again, it's one of the great things. Like, nothing in films are like done on accident. Like, so you see him bury the body, and like obviously you see the trailers, that's going to be resurrected. So that's quite a cool like Evil Dead thing where the hand comes out of the thing.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, really cool. And then we get the final fight on Mount Wundagore, which, to be fair, it's not really a fight, but it didn't need to be. We had a lot of action in this film anyway.
That was sorry. The those demon dead things. I thought that was a very creepy sequence where like it gets pulled into that black goo, like, and they say to him like, because you've dream walked using a dead body, you'd be an eternal prison thing, or something like that. Which I think I don't know if that's why he's got the third eye at the end. I'm not too sure.
But, yeah, exactly. It's an interesting thing. this is, to be fair, one of my favourite conclusions to a Marvel film, because essentially Doctor Strange gives America Chavez the kind of impetus to be like, no, you have been controlling your power everywhere we've needed to go. You've taken me there. And obviously, it's a really good top bit of arc for her is that we realise that the reason that she's lost her parents is because she got stung by a wasp or a bee, and then opened a star portal and they're just gone somewhere. And I really have to say, I really like the relationship between Strange and America, because he essentially goes, they could be out there someday. You haven't lost, you don't know if you've lost them, and they'd be proud of you for who you are now. I think that's a really cool.
Yeah, both of them had a really nice relationship through the film, like because she asks about Christina, and like you say, he gives her like hope about like her mother's, and obviously as well it pays off the start of the film where obviously her Doctor Strange at the start was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill her, and he's presented with the same situation because Wong's like, I can't contain it, you're gonna have to take the powers from her and do it yourself, and he's like, nah, she can do it. So,
and she does do it. Yeah, she does start to contain it. She does the star punch thing, and Wanda does get the upper hand from her. Wanda does get the upper hand. You know, and like I said, really nice back and forth. Like I said, although this is a Doctor Strange movie and it is very good, it's more of a Wanda Maximoff movie, really. Like Wanda gets the arc of start, middle, and end. Strange is sort of, like I said, it is a Stephen Strange also gets a similar arc, but really it is Wanda's movie.
Yeah, a bit like how Thanos was like the like Avengers film was like his film. Like, yeah, this is essentially Wonderful. I've seen how people were like wanting like a film with her.
So yeah, I think at the end of the day, Wanda in this film, actually, we sort of see in our non-spoiler section, we spoke about sort of the actors, but I think Wanda steals the show for me. Oh, sorry, Elizabeth Olsen, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
Throughout,
especially seeing where she's confronted with
she's so good at being the villain, but also you do feel for her. It's one of those villains that we do care for. We do care for her. We don't want to see her like die or anything. Even though she's killed people, you still have that kind of level of care for her. Like, you still kind of wanted to get to her kids. You know, obviously not in her current mental state, which we find out at the end of this film in 2 seconds. We talk about it, but Elizabeth Olsen does a really good job of sort of be on the line at points between being a really villainous person one minute, but also being really sympathetic the next. And you see this sort of journey that she's been on, being experimented, losing her brother, having to kill her boyfriend, having kids, losing her kids. And it turns out also, it's actually made the point of she essentially killed Thanos for nothing. No, not Thanos, Vision. She essentially killed Vision for no reason.
Yeah, she says, at the beginning on Kamatage, she's like, it was pointless. It was absolutely pointless. Obviously, what happened in the Endgame and Infinity War. Yeah.
She's like, so it was just. So
like you said, she's a complete badass villain in this, but also she delivers on like the emotional stuff amazingly.
And then the big climax of the film, which I'm really happy in this film, it isn't really an action sequence, it's an emotional kind of 3 to 4 minute scene, is America punching a star portal essentially to one of the universes, I think the same universe actually, where the Illuminati were and the Wanda she took over, and you see Billy and Tommy's reaction to this new decrepit version of Wanda. And
I think it is because you still got like some scars and that, so I assume thinking about it, it's the exact same thing that happened to Doctor Strange in What If, because he consumes, like in Doctor Strange, he consumes all the mystical powers, gets Chrissy back, but he's turned into like a monster. She's like doesn't recognize him, and that's exactly what happens here. Like obviously the different context, but
it also reminds me as well more superhero things that have done it. And Spider-Man's the Spider-Verse with the Kingpin at the end. Obviously, he's trying to get his family back, isn't he? And they see him beating 10 out of Mars.
Yeah, what have I become to get what I want?
Yeah, and you see this lovely scene where essentially the other Wanda is consoling Wanda, and it's really good. And you see that Wanda goes, I wouldn't. You realise that she kind of clocks. She goes, I wouldn't hurt anyone. And then you kind of realise that actually, how much of this was Wanda, and how much of this was the Darkhold using her need to get her family back, to then corrupting her to do this. Because the moment she's set free, she realizes essentially, what have I done? And it's not, I don't think it's a cop out really, because they have mentioned throughout the film that this thing, it ain't good. It's going to corrupt you. We know when Stephen uses it, it ain't going to be good. Like, it's going to change you. And I love Elizabeth Olsen again. Well, I knew she was brilliant. I didn't know she was this good. She was amazing in the scene, like in front of the kids as well. And she's breaking it. It's like, I'd never harm anyone. And the look in her eye of realizing what she has done
Yeah.
is stunning.
Yeah.
And obviously, it ends with her essentially agreeing to sacrifice herself. Well, so we think she's not going anywhere. She signed a new 7-year deal. She signed a new 7-year deal. But at the end of the day, I don't want it to be the end of her character. I think this would have been a complete story in a sense, but it would have been a really depressing one. You go, oh, the MCU story is just yeah.
Yeah, it's not really like a. Yeah, if this was the end point, it'd be really down because it'd be like she's lost everything and now she's like, yeah. But it was nice as well because obviously when she does that, he's like, oh, she's also like stopped something else as well because she was like, I can't remember what it was, something about the book where she stopped something else from happening because she's turned good. Again,
yeah, exactly. We only see it once, so certain lines of dialogue kind of go over your head, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, we also then afterwards get a really good scene between Christine and Stephen, where Stephen's like, "I love you in every universe." I just,
wow.
You know, is it cheesy? Yes. Is this a superhero film though? We've just seen a witch and wizard fight each other for an hour and a half. Yes. Like, it doesn't need to be. It could be a bit dumb for 10 minutes. I'm fine with that. Like, I don't mind the cheesy kind of love dialogue. I think it's really good as well.
I think it's really beautiful. I think it's nicely. But I saw it as more of like a goodbye and closure.
Yeah, we don't need to see Christine back. We don't need to see Christine back.
No, I think it was a nice closure because, like, obviously within the main universe, she's married now. She's made a thing, and I think it's closure for him as well. But I did think for a second, I was like, is she going to go back to the main like universe with him? I was thinking, no.
Because I'll say if that was our version of Christine would be like, well, you just got another one. You're taking the Meg. Like,
yeah, that'd be a bit. What magic have you done? You sit shit.
But no, obviously it's there. And literally the film ends obviously with him repairing the watch. Like you say, he's finally healed. It's the closure of that relation. He feels that he heals the clockwise and the watch, walks out the street, and then he just starts screaming, and we're like, in the words of you, what the F? And then we see the third eye come up, and that's the end of the film. We can't talk about the mid credits though, because I feel like the mid credits. To be fair, it's one of those things where I think at this point the mid credits should have just been the end of the film. Personally,
well, a couple of things. So, America Chavez is now training at.
Oh yes, good point. Yes,
and also there's a nice. So she's like, oh, thank you. I'm glad I chose this universe as sort of train. That was nice. And obviously, then he bows to Wong as well, which has been the ongoing joke. Do you know about the end credits? I've done my research.
So I know it's a sorcerer of some kind who is related to Dormammu.
Uncle
yes.
Dormammu.
Uncle Dormammu, obviously played by the wonderful Charlize Theron, which was
and romantic lover to Doctor Strange as well. So.
Possible. Christine's up the picture, so
like they don't waste any time.
Yeah, but no. I mean, my friend. I mean, I didn't at the time. Obviously, I watched it's a bit of research like yourself afterwards. My friend was like, "Oh, that's one of the X-Men," and I was like, "There's no way that's how they introduced one of the X-Men. He's taking the mick." But no, it turns obviously. I really like it. I don't know if it's the third eye thing. I think obviously need to see more of it. I think it looks a bit rubbish. It worked in the lower light. It worked in the lower light with the evil Strange when he had it because it was a dark scene, so you couldn't really see the ebb. But I think in the bright of New York, it looked a bit rubbery.
It's weird because like he obviously the end of the film is like him like screaming to his knees, and then at the end credits he's like flipping it on like it's no business at all. And it's like, oh, so how did you get from there to there? And it's very quick as well. It's like, hi, I'm this person. We're going to go now. Okay, yeah.
You've caused an incursion. Let's go. It's like, did he? When?
Oh, I think the Fantastic Four man, Reed Richards, that's his name. He said when two universes come together, they start to like edge, and that is an incursion or something, and they can both be destroyed. So I think because he's jumped, I don't understand the multiverse.
I don't. We'll find out in Doctor Strange 3 in the multiverse of the universe.
It's a cool pitch for it because I guess it'd be those two going around like the dark dimension.
Yeah, that's really nice. I want to know what happened to our universe's version of Mordo, because it's the end of Doctor Strange. It was like no more sorcerers, and then in this film, Doctor Strange's like, oh yeah, you tried to kill me once, and that's sort of it.
Yeah, it kind of played off as like a joke, and it was like, I wanted to kind of see that. Like,
I was like, I really like Chiwetel Ejiofor. Why can't he be the villain of the main movie?
I feel like it's kind of a storyline I guess they kind of scrapped, but then obviously as I guess
it could easily come back.
Yeah, they kind of did it, but through the multiverse as opposed to like the original one. Like, yeah, so
yeah. But yeah, no, obviously our final post-credit scene is a delight. It's Pizza Papa, Bruce Campbell, punched himself. He's still punching himself, and it stops and he goes, "It's over," as he looks directly down the lens.
There's quite a few times this film that characters break the fourth wall.
Wanda, especially.
The Wanda break, yeah. I maybe that's the WandaVision thing.
I couldn't see any others. I saw.
I'm trying to think. Definitely Wanda though. Wanda looks directly into camera, like for like a few seconds, and then carries on. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it for Doctor Strange in the multiverse of the multiverse. Yeah. Do you know what? Like I said in our non-spoiler section, I really enjoyed this film. I think with Marvel now, it's kind of expected to enjoy it. Like, I'm not going. Oh, I'm not looking forward. Even the ones I'm not looking forward to, like Thor: More Thor later this year, which I'm not particularly looking forward to.
Really?
Because the trailer just didn't grab me, mate. Do you know what? I think the issue is that I think because we spoke about in the Infinity War Endgame podcast about how fast Thor's come from these lows to highs to lows, and it keeps falling and come back up. I'm kind of like bored now. I kind of just want Thor for like 2 films just to be regular ass Thor. I don't mind more Thor. I'm just sick and tired of Thor's now become like a peace loving. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm like we've done this sort of like
It's a bit like, I guess, a bit like the Superman problem of like, how do you kind of do like a god? I guess. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like how, like, obviously, up to like Avengers Age of Ultron is very kind of like generic. So, well, it's just the first trailer, so hopefully
exactly.
Maybe
yes, maybe, who knows. But we obviously that is it for Strange Multiverse Madness. I'm going to stick to my score of a 7.5, like close to an 8. I think it was
say a 7.
I think it was a lot of fun. I think at the end of the day, when this comes out on Disney Plus, and I have mates over and they say, "Hey, do you want to watch Strange Multiverse Madness?" I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't go no. But if someone said, "Hey, Alex, do you want to watch a Marvel film?" Would I pick this first? Probably not. That's kind of the category I put it in. It's more than watchable, and I'd be happy to watch it, but I wouldn't pick it from the Marvel catalog.
No, it was a solid ride. I'm pleased they kind of grounded the multiverse or the kind of character story. I found the multiverse thing more of like a kind of like, oh, we have to do it. I understand, like, yeah, it does kind of make it important to the story, but it does feel like oh, this is our little section of like, look who's here. Yeah, like more importantly, it was a Doctor Strange sequel, like, and it accomplished that, and it was I thought a great continuation of the WandaVision stuff, apart from obviously like Vision not being there and stuff. But yeah, a strong outing, and it was different as well. Like, it was Marvel, like, there is this criticism, obviously, like people say, oh, Marvel all the same films. It's like they're not. Like, they're constantly doing new stuff, and this is like a great example of them doing a whole new genre. And Sam Raimi being allowed to be Sam Raimi and doing all the amazing horror stuff, which sets it apart, from all the rest. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Really, really fun outing overall. Right, you may have been confused by the title of this podcast because it's Thomas Podcast episode 99 and a half. The reason for that is because we've shot episode 100. I forgot that I think this got pushed back a few weeks. It was originally meant to, and so it kind of ruined the schedule. But I didn't want to wait 2 weeks to get this to you guys because by that point,
so this is like 99.5.
yes,
Wow.
that's how we're getting around it. That
we've already filmed the 100 thing, haven't we?
we filmed our 100 and 100 part 2. So yeah, they've been shot. So yes, this is episode 99 and a half. There you go. But yeah, it's been fun. Obviously, next time as well. Next Marvel film, Thor: Love and Thunder. There's a good chance me and Rees will be saying that together in London.
We could do it out of the theatre reaction.
We could. So there we go.
We could do what we do with Wars and Tyrants, but more sober.
More sober. Yeah, more sober. We could, yeah. using less tired, more sober, and hopefully we can understand it more. Because it won't be on a small laptop. We'll still be watching it on the big screen. We'll be able to go, now I understand what's going on. But yes, you can follow Rees on all the socials at GF97 at YouTuber. Go check out his YouTube channel as well for his amazing trailers. He's done some amazing stuff. He got a trailer recently that got a lot of attention. If you're a Doctor Who fan, he did a trailer about the returning companions coming back for the new series, the centenary special, sorry. So if you're a big fan of TNAs, go check that out. Or just check his channel anyway if you like Marvel as well, because he's got figures stuff. He does trailers. He's got a really good Spider-Man trailer where he did the whole of the movies, all of them in one go, except Spider-Verse, because boo animation. No, I'm joking. But yeah, he's great at that. So yeah, and you can also follow the channel at Silence Pod on Twitter. You can follow us, me at King_Dom on Twitter as well. And please do like, comment, and subscribe. Next week,
check out the 100th.
Yes, 100th episode. It's a big episode next week. It's been filmed. It's 2 parts long together. It's almost 5.5 hours, but obviously they are 2 separate episodes.
Wow.
So yeah, it's exciting. There's a few arguments on there. Rees may have got shouted at a couple of times. But
yeah, there was there was some
debate.
But we're not twisted. We're reasonable.
Yes, absolutely.
They're very funny moments of people. No scores are hidden either. So when people have given it a low score compared to everybody else, they are name drops.
Yeah, they are questioned. Yeah, they are questioned. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, thank you guys all very much for watching. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.